Hello folks! Welcome back to Marvelous Videos, where today we are looking into one of the fiercest literary monsters to ever exist, Grendel's mother. Grendel's mother, though unnamed, is an important and often overlooked figure in the epic Old English poem Beowulf. Without further ado, let's dig into it. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. The story of Grendel's mother in the Beowulf poem, A Mother's Wrath. Let's begin first by looking into Beowulf, a poem so old that scholars have failed to locate its origin, as they believe it existed orally before being written down, but believe the manuscript was written anywhere between 975 and 1025 AD. The poem narrates the story of the titular hero Beowulf in 5th or 6th century Scandinavia and details his fantastic adventures. The poem is one of the most translated works of Old English and is around 3,182 lines long. The Anglo-Saxon poem begins with Beowulf, who belonged to the North Germanic tribe of the Geats, coming to the aid of the king of the Danes, Hrothgar, who needs help in defeating the monster Grendel, who has been petrifying his people for 12 years. Grendel, a descendant of Cain from the Bible, lives in a dark cave with his mother. He's like a giant ogre-like creature, bigger and stronger than any human. He can't stand the happiness and music coming from Heorot, King Hrothgar's mead hall, so he starts attacking it out of jealousy and anger. The first night that Beowulf spends with the Danes, he sees Grendel march up from the swamp that surrounds his cave and break open the door of the wine hall with just one tap. Grendel, who's used to scaring the humans away and spending nights at the wine hall, expects to do the same again, but he ends up meeting Beowulf, who is stronger than him. Beowulf, who has the strength of 30 men, grasps Grendel's claw with his bare hands and pulls it apart. Grendel runs away to his cave and, unable to heal from his mortal wound, passes away in his cave. The Danes hang his arm from the Heorot roof as a celebration of Grendel's defeat. The Danes, happy that their problem is solved, spend the next day and night celebrating their victory with feasts and drinks. Beowulf leaves the celebration to catch up on his sleep. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to them, Grendel's mother grieves her son's death, and fueled by her grief and sorrow, comes out of her cave to attack Heorot. She takes back her son's arm and attacks the Danes inside. Although she is not as strong as Grendel, in her anger, she kills Hrothgar's most trusted and loyal assistant and advisor, Aistger. Hrothgar calls Beowulf, and together they decide to avenge Aistger's death. Hrothgar and Beowulf together make their way with Hrothgar's army to Grendel's lair and find the head of Aistger by the lake that surrounds the cave. The lake is filled with sea monsters, and as Beowulf decides to jump into the lake, his fellow warrior Unferth gives him his treasured sword, which is named Hrunting. Armed with Hrunting and renewed motivation, Beowulf dives into the lake where Grendel's mother awaits. She attacks him as he nears the bottom of the lake, where she has an upper hand as she has lived there for decades. She drags him into the dark cave, but as soon as Beowulf finds solid dry land beneath his feet, he jumps into action, swinging his sword at her. But his sword will not manage even a scar against her skin. A fierce battle ensues as Beowulf realizes that his sword is useless against her and tries to fight her without any weapon. He soon discovers a magical sword inside the cave, and with one swing from it, kills Grendel's mother. As he is leaving the cave, he discovers Grendel's body and cuts off his head as a trophy. The debates surrounding Grendel's mother, monstrous or misunderstood. There are many debates among English scholars about Grendel's mother as to whether she was really a monster or if she was a brave warrior woman. As Grendel was a monster who is a descendant of Cain, many scholars assume that Grendel's mother too is thus a monster. Others suggest that she is a metaphor for all the suffering that woman went through because of blood feuds. Many other scholars, notably Kevin Kiernan, argue that Grendel's mother is actually heroic as she takes the path of vengeance. Grendel's mother never attacked anyone out of envy or resentment, but only did so as revenge when her son was murdered. These actions are often considered noble when undertaken by a hero. The debate about Grendel's mother mostly comes down to how tricky it is to translate the word used to describe her in the original poem, Ides, and Aglequif. Until the 1970s, Aglequif was translated in a pretty negative way with terms like monster woman, wretch, monstrous wife, ugly troll lady, and monstrous hellbride. However, scholars like Doreen M. E. Gillum have pointed out that the word has a dual meaning. It's used for both humans and supernatural beings in the poem. In fact, Sherman Cunn, and Eric Stanley note that the term Aglaika is also used for warriors, including Beowulf himself, so the more accurate translation is likely just warrior woman. The other word, Ides, is similar to the Norse word dis, which translates to lady. Some scholars think this suggests Grendel's mother might be of noble birth. They also compare her to Valkyries from Norse mythology, since her description matches theirs in many ways. Additionally, her character has been linked to Freya, the Norse goddess of battle, fertility, prophecy, and death. Grendel's mother in modern adaptations, movies, TV shows, comics, and games. There have been many adaptations of the legend of Beowulf. In 1999, Graham Baker adapted Beowulf into a movie of the same name, but it was not completely faithful to the epic poem. In this movie, Grendel's mother, played by Layla Roberts, is a beautiful woman who is able to turn into a multi-limbed creature. She's a femme fatale character who seduced Hrothgar to give birth to Grendel and also tries to seduce Beowulf. John McTiernan's The 13th Warrior, released in 1999, is an adaptation of Michael Crichton's 1976 novel Eaters of the Dead. It is a retelling of Beowulf, where Grendel and his mother are cannibalistic hominids called Wendels. In the 2005 movie Beowulf and Grendel, Grendel is shown to have a father and son along with his mother. Although the male members of his family are mostly human-like, Grendel's mother, portrayed by Elva Osk, Olafsdottir, is much more monstrous. The portrayal of Grendel's mother in the 2007 movie Beowulf, directed by Robert Zemeckis, is similar to the 1999 movie of the same name. Angelina Jolie, who plays Grendel's mother, is shown as an amphibious seductress with a scaly golden body. The movie's characterization of Grendel's mother deviates completely from the poem, as it heavily implies that Hrothgar is the father of Grendel. She also seduces Beowulf, promising to make him king if he gives her a son. Beowulf agrees, and later she gives birth to his son, a dragon who torments his kingdom and causes his end. In Xena, Warrior Princess, an American fantasy television series, Grendel's mother is named Grinhilda, the commander of the Valkyries and Odin's lover. She later turns into a monster when she wears a magic ring. In the British fantasy drama Beowulf, Return to the Shieldlands, Grendel's mother is shown as Elvina, Beowulf's lover. There have been many comics illustrating the epic poem Beowulf, which were titled the same name as the poem, and you can find Grendel's mother in the 1975 DC comic Beowulf the Dragon Slayer, written by Michael Uslan and Ricardo Villamonte, the 1984 first comics issue Beowulf by Jerry Bingham, the 1987 tricolor printing issue Beowulf by Astrid Anand and Bill Carroll, and the 2007 Candlewick Press comic Beowulf written by Gareth Hines. A browser-based role game has also been dedicated to Beowulf called Grendel's Cave, where defeating Grendel's mother is the second objective of the game. The 2012 fighting video game Skullgirls has a character inspired by Beowulf who is a pro wrestler that kills Grendel and defeats his mother in a wrestling match. Grendel's mother's appearance, personality, and powers. Myth and modernity. In the original poem, the physical characteristics of Grendel's mother have not been explained in detail. As we saw earlier, debates are still ongoing on whether she was a noble human lady or a monstrous ogress. She is described in the poem as a merewif, which translated to a lady of the water, and as she lives in the bottom of a lake, we can assume that she can live and breathe underwater. She's incredibly strong and is unaffected by most normal blades and swords. In the modern adaptations of the poem, Grendel's mother is given many other powers. She is able to seduce kings and warriors by appearing as a beautiful woman, and in some movies, she also has shape-shifting abilities. But one common characteristic that is seen in both the original poems and modern movie adaptations is her unbreakable motivation for revenge. Marvelous verdict. Grendel's mother is thus one of the oldest literary antagonists who is a symbol of maternal rage and wrath of a wronged woman. While it is not clear whether she is a human or a supernatural creature, there is no doubt that she is not a monster. What do you think of Grendel's mother? Is she a monster, or did she do just what every mother would do if they lost their son? Let us know in the comments. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.